Okay,
Yeah.
so this is our final four, gentlemen. E.T. versus Raiders of the Lost Ark, and Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade versus Jaws.
Ooh.
So it's a number 2 versus a number 4, and a number 7 versus a number 1.
Who's number 1?
Jaws is,
Jaws
is
is
Jaws.
1, right?
E.T. is 2, Raiders is 4, and Crusade is 7.
Damn. That's a good time. That's a good final four.
That's a fantastic final four. So do we go the West-East winners, which is E.T. and Raiders, or a South-North winner, which is Last Crusade and Jaws? Where do we go? Let's go West-East, since that's the way we've been going.
Yeah.
E.T. versus Raiders. I have an easy vote here.
Yeah, me too. It's Raiders. It is Raiders.
Raiders.
It is better.
I'm throwing down for E.T. Lose or not. I love that movie. It is all the reasons I've said. Quintessential Spielberg in so many ways. Genre defining. Shout out to E.T.
Did any government officials have their face melted? No. How could you even possibly vote for that?
Well, all I can imagine when you have the showdown is a crusty Indiana Jones like looking through artifacts and coming across E.T. and just being like, huh, and like punching him in the face and just carrying on raiding the Ark. That's all I see.
You took it too far, Sean. You didn't have to make it ugly.
Just
there was fighting words.
Yeah.
Okay, so we have Raiders. All right. Raiders is the West-East winner. Yeah, what was the, oh yeah. Did you guys notice? I posted it on Twitter. Mick Mulvaney looked very much like the SS officer from Raiders of the Lost Ark.
Yeah.
Did you notice that?
I see that.
So I posted when he got fired that like the officer was like when the face was melting when he got exposed to the Ark, and he I was like, oh, Mick Mulvaney just found out he got fired. Oh well. Anyway, sidebar. Okay. And now the South-North winners, Last Crusade versus Jaws. This is this is another really tough one, guys. This is really, really tough for all the reasons we've said.
This is tough.
I
gotta do one more shout out here.
Please do. Yes.
My friend Carrie, who has been following our Instagram and things like that. He sent me Carrie commented, I think, on one of our posts recently asking where he could vote, and I believe he did because Jaws is one of his all-time favorite movies. He then sent me a message separately being like, Jaws, it's got to be Jaws, man. So just shout out to Carrie in his favorite movie, Jaws.
Shout out to you. Not like Anthony with bum-ass Hook. What the hell, dude? You owe us all a drink just for suggesting that.
Hold on. We might have one more shout out here if my memory serves me correctly. It does. Yeah. Shout out to my better half, to Gabs, who also put Jaws at the top of her list. So shout out to Gabs.
Ooh, shout out to Gabby. Hi, Gabby. Thank you for putting Jaws at the top of the list. Did I ever tell you a story? My buddy used to have, and I'm sure he's gonna watch this, or hope he's gonna watch this. My buddy Brian used to have, and he was a marine biologist by schooling. Mm-hmm. And his family had a house in Narragansett, Rhode Island, which the opening scene in Jaws looks almost like the street that his house is on. Now, that was filmed in Martha's Vineyard, but that notwithstanding, he used to throw a party every year called the Goat Jam, because his last name in Polish means goat. So we used to call it the Goat Jam. His last name was Kozel. And for 10 years straight, every year around Labor Day, he'd have this big party. Like 50, 60 people would show up during the course of the day. And we start partying at noon and party till you pass out, like 4 a.m. kind of stuff. So one year, there was a girl that came and visited. And she was in med school. She was from Arizona. And one of his good friends, Jason, great guy, fun guy to hang out with. He's from Warwick, Rhode Island. And if you don't know anything about Rhode Island, Warwick is the place where the accent is so thick that you don't, everything's kind of weird. Like, so there was a friend that I worked with, her name was Carla Carnarpi, but like when I was working in Massachusetts, the announcer was like, Carla Carnarpi, please dial the operator. Carla Carnarpi, please dial the operator. And I remember going, Carla, I think that's for you. And she's like, what? No, it's not, it's not for me. I was like, no, it is. And then the operator did it 2 more times, and then she's like, can you believe it was for me? And I was like, it's for you. Anyway, so somehow the conversation's going, and he's talking, Jason is talking to this girl, Heidi, and he's from Warwick, Rhode Island, thick accent. And he says, oh, yeah, it's just like in Jaws. And so she stops with this look. She's having this conversation, and her face literally just goes like, what's Jaws? And I just freaking bust out laughing because I like, he means Jaws, like, the shark movie. And she's like, oh. And he gets offended. He's like, oh, I'm sorry. Jazz. And I'm like, are you saying jars now or Jaws? I don't know which one you're saying. So anyway, that's my Jaws tangent story right there. Okay. So Last Crusade versus Jaws. Who wants to go?
So tough.
Yeah.
Andrew, you go.
Shit. I'm not sure. I don't think I need to say too much because we've talked about all of these. We know all the reasons why these 2 movies are so great.
Yeah.
I guess, and this is a tough one. It's not even to say that one movie is better than the other. But because we're doing this and because I have to vote, I have to go with Jaws just because it is the movie that kicked off Spielberg's whole career, and we wouldn't have any of these other movies without him. Without Jaws, that is. So tough decision, but I got to go Jaws.
No. I mean, if you give me a choice between what movie you want to watch.
Oh, yeah.
And are you going to watch Jaws? Just for are you going to watch The Last Crusade? I'd probably say The Last Crusade. Because The Last Crusade is one of those, somebody put up with all this COVID stuff on Facebook, and I thought it was a fun thing. They said, post the 5 movies that you could watch over and over and over again, and it doesn't matter because when it comes on, you'll sit down and watch it anyway. Last Crusade is one of those movies, Jaws, you kind of almost got to be in a mood. You know what I'm saying? Like, Jaws is not like a happy-go-lucky, like Trading Places. I'll watch that any day of the week,
Groundhog Day.
Big Trouble in Little China. I'll watch that any day of the week because, they're lighthearted, they're silly. But like you said, there's the summer blockbuster was basically invented by Jaws.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And again, the performances, the individual performances were pretty damn good. I thought the scene where the woman walks up to Roy Scheider to the chief and slaps him and says, "You knew about the girl that got killed," and you said that was the only really part of the movie that kind of pulled me out of it because I was like, well, this is kind of schlocky, that woman's performance, that actress's performance, but other than that, everybody was right on. Robert Shaw was fantastic. Dreyfuss was fantastic. Scheider was fantastic. I forget the actress's name who played his wife. She was good. The kids were good. The mayor was great. I thought the mayor was fantastic.
Yeah.
That. Like I said, Indiana Jones. So much of it was The Last Crusade to me was almost a perfect movie. Like, I can find almost nothing about it that was just that I'd go oh, this is so cheesy.
Yeah.
And it sets itself up so well. You forget that we've lived with him for 2 movies, so we think, but because of the way that they open it with the ultimate prequel.
Well, that's right.
and we haven't seen his father in the other movies, you can watch The Last Crusade in isolation without having seen the other two.
Yes.
And it doesn't matter. It does teach you everything you need to know.
Right. That's right. You know what? I'm glad you brought that up because I forgot about that. River Phoenix was just magnificent in that opening. Like
Oh yeah.
The mannerisms of Harrison Ford, he had him down. Like even the way like he ran down, like you know how Harrison Ford, like when stuff would happen, he's kind of gangly and trying not to fall down as opposed to looking super athletic when he runs. He had that down. Like all of the indignation of Harrison Ford, all of it was just like so good. There was that stupid movie with Zac Efron and what's his name, Matthew from Friends. Why can't I think of his name?
Oh, 13. No,
17 again.
17 again, yeah.
17 again. And he had the dude cold hat. Like all of his reactions, everything was right on. And River Phoenix kind of like did this so perfectly with Harrison Ford. All of it. Like even that like little tease in the beginning with Sean Connery, he says, count to 10 in Greek. There's nothing in The Last Crusade that I'll point to and be like, well, this is bad. You know, even when it was schlocky, it was funny and worked. Like the whole thing with the librarian, like slamming the stamp while he's like busting the thing open, and he's just kind of like, you know, like, well, how daft are you that you're just like looking at the stamp and it's making all that noise? You know, even that's just like, you know, like, nudge, nudge, wink, wink. Look at this, we're pulling one over, kind of stuff. And all of that being said, I have to give it to Jaws. I have to give it to Jaws.
It sounds like you're telling someone's family that they're not going to make it.
I know. You don't understand. The Last Crusade is one of my all-time favorite movies. It really, really is. I mean, there are a few movies that just evoke that kind of just like I said, I'll sit down and watch it in a Foot Locker, you know, if they have it on the screen. I just think it's just about the perfect movie.
Yeah, it's true.
I mean, Jaws wins. Sean, why don't you give us a conclusion? Who you voted for?
I agree. I voted for Jaws as well, and Indiana Jones is my favorite thing, you know, character, franchise, whatever. But Jaws is one of my favorite movies, and at different points in my life, maybe my favorite movie. It's so again go back to the director, and we're talking about Spielberg and this whole thing. What he did with that. I mean, Last Crusade, it's a brilliant movie, but he honed something he'd already worked on a lot, and he perfected it. Jaws is just a great example of an auteur just making it. Like I said, the novel, which is a really good book, so different.
Yeah.
It's set in Long Island, set in New York. It's not set up, it's set with New Yorkers, and it's set in the early 60s, late 50s, early 60s in Long Island, New York. How incredibly different that movie would be if it was a period piece set in New York. Like, and it's about infidelity. It's not, the shark is like, it's more about infidelity. Very different. And the fact that on the fly, the whole movie completely changed. It was going to be animatronic sharks all the way through that movie. Was it going to be the plan? That was what sold it. They were like, he's got these animatronic sharks and it's going to be incredible. And no one thought to test the fucking things in water. Like, that's what they were like, oh, fuck. Like, this don't work. Like, it turned up, it was like, oh, it's not working.
No, electronics don't work in water. That's weird. I'm glad nobody thought of that.
And so they had to rig it last minute to try and make it work in water, and it looked awful. They're like, this looks terrible. It looks like a fucking sausage. Like, this is not terrifying. So in pre-production, he had to turn around to John Williams, who was no one at the time, and say, John, you need to make me a shark. Like, we don't have a shark, and I sold this movie because of the shark. You need to make me a shark. He's like, okay. And he went and he made that. He did that.
And all of it came together. And you know, you bring up a great point. the fact that this is his like first movie and what it accomplished with the first movie compared to where he was in terms of being polished by the time The Last Crusade came out.
Yeah.
Because The Last Crusade is, what, 89, and Jaws is 75. So you're talking 14 years later. He's at this point have, you know, Lucas has got, you know, Industrial Light and Magic, you know, he's got all these resources at his hands. I think personally, I think The Last Crusade is a better movie for me than Jaws. Like, I'll rather watch Last Crusade than Jaws. But in terms of what's it means and what's a better movie,
we've now gotten into the territory of it's not, we have to weigh which movie maybe we like more and or which movie objectively is better. And then it gets real tricky. It's like, am I leaning one way just because I personally enjoy it more, or am I being objective and it's a better, you know? So we're kind of in this weird.
Yes. No. Yeah, we're right. We're very much straddling the line of subjective and objective at this point.
And it's hard. What's hard about in this tournament, because we know what's coming up, is I have no problem with giving it to Jaws, because I'm like, yeah, we're going to go up against Raiders in the final, so it's fine. So we can just right this wrong in the final. But also worth noting, Spielberg was 27 when he made Jaws. Like 27. That cast, a 27-year-old director, basically first time directing Roy Scheider, Shaw, like.
Yeah.
Can you imagine all the drama behind the scenes? I mean, they were that production was a disaster.
Yeah.
And you've got this kid who no one knows who's holding it all together. This Jewish kid that no one's ever heard of making this shark movie. They're like, it's kind of crazy.